AI can do magic because whatever AI can do today, we would not even have thought of all that thing probably 2 years back.
I've been hearing that Agentic AI is going to change the SaaS landscape also.
But additionally, it is not a magic to directly apply it to your real world and get money from it.
Hello everyone, welcome to this podcast on crossing the chasm, AI adoption in organization. Today we've got a very special guest with us who is a serial entrepreneur, a tech coach and more. Hi Vivek.
Hi Chetan, how are you?
I'm doing very well, Vivek. So today I think we are talking from awareness to awesomeness.
The one we thought about was awareness to awesomeness, how organizations start from awareness of AI to how they get into the actual zone of awesomeness where everything is nice and they get business benefits and employees are also not, disgruntled that people are using AI and my jobs are going away. That's the sweet spot that we're trying to explore today.
So it's awesomeness for everyone, Vivek.
Hopefully, yes.
That's really awesome.
Yes.
So let me start with your introduction, Vivek. So I was looking at your LinkedIn introduction. 2 times AI SaaS failure. Very intriguing, very authentic. Tell us more about it.
At some point in time in my career, I realized that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I wanted to start on my own. Partly because of ambitions and all these things, but partly because of the various other situations surrounding me in personal life. So, and I teamed up with my college friend who was also probably in a very similar situation at that time, and we started a company. And we thought we needed to create 2 revenue streams. One is for consulting, which will sort of bring money into the company, and we need to put that money in products. And SaaS is the thing that we wanted to start with because I already was a part of a SaaS startup, which I was very crazy about in my head. I want to replicate that success that Unicorn had and all these things. So we started, and let me come to the failure part. First product that we started was FaceQuest. It was a face recognition as a service. So we wanted to create a API based service where anybody who wants to, let's say, match to identity verification was one of the core use cases, and many such use cases where you already have the person's face and you want to see whether this person is already in my database or not. This kind of use cases, and we were targeting businesses. And then COVID came, and we were already a very small company with limited funds and all these things, and we had already put a lot of funds into marketing, sales. We hired a salesperson, we hired developers and all these things, and ultimately at some point in between COVID we realized that probably we are not the right people to do that, because though the product has a pull, it takes a long time to close such big, whenever face recognition, face data is involved, people freak out and say, oh, personal data is involved and all these things. So then we, after 1.5 years, we put a pause to it and said, okay, maybe this is not what we want to do right now. So we had to reinvent again. So that was the 1x. That time I used to call myself as 1x AI SaaS failure guy. Now, after that, the second one came, we started targeting at who we can easily target. And since we already had a salesperson and he was very passionate in selling, he had his own community, he was very well in group in the sales community and all, we thought let's target sales people and create some software for that. And we did not set out to start with AI, but somehow it became an AI software. So we basically created a product called Notes Ally. It was in the sales enablement area where anybody gets an email. Let's say I'm a sales guy. I work with 10-15 clients at a time, let's say 10-15 prospects at a time. And one prospect suddenly calls me or sends me an email or sends me a message on LinkedIn, WhatsApp, and says, you know what, hey, I want 10 licenses instead of 2 licenses. Now, as a salesperson, what I do is I have to take that 10, copy paste into the CRM system so that it gets nicely recorded there, and I need to make sure that I need to follow up and make sure all these things. So we basically wanted to make their life a little easy and give some safety nets using AI. That's what sort of we built. After 1.5 years of investment and some trials, some customers giving good feedback, we realized that we needed a lot more money because of the competitor landscape. A lot more competitors came in and AI also started booming, and we felt like probably this is something that, it's not something that we wanted to make money from, that we can sustain ourselves in the future. Like, I don't want to give my entire life to something that may probably give me only very less money in the life. So then we pivoted on to other things which sort of started working well, but that's the 2 failures that you have been asking for.
Failure with a lot of learnings, Vivek, I would say.
Absolutely, yes.
Right? And maybe which is paving the way for your future.
Yes, lot of learning, lot of BP, lot of, sleepless nights. But yes, it's good. Yeah.
Good. If I get it right? You're the author of multiple books and the co-author of multiple books. So what inspired you being an entrepreneur and then being an author and that too for multiple books, Vivek?
You can easily see the fickle mindedness of me. Two startups started, closed, and all these things. But also, there is a identity that I have multiple identities. Vivek as a person is different things. And one of such things is a person who reads books, who reads a lot of novels, who reads books, writes books, and also an educator because I am in that field, consulting and all these things, right? So when I started out as a consultant, I was just 8 years of experience, and I had to sell myself in the consulting market. So that time when I was talking to one of my mentors, he told, "See, you already have experience. You have coached a lot of teams, particularly in technical agility areas, which is in demand. Why don't you write something and put it out in the public, showcase whatever experiments you have done?" And that's when I started writing my first book. It was called Blameless Continuous Integration, a DevOps practice, but practical side of it. That's what I wrote a book on, and that became my entry card to the consulting ecosystem. That's when I started working as a DevOps coach, right? And a little bit of technical assignments also came in. So that was one revenue stream of what I wanted to do.
That's really lovely. So I think that's a message from Vivek to potential consultants who plan to move from a job to a consultant role. What's the message today are you giving through these conferences?
So, of late, most of the conferences that I speak about and the conference talks, including the one that I'm doing today with AITank, is about how we need to probably understand AI as a force in a very different way than what the public narrative is, and also about how you can actually really use AI without creating paranoia in people. That's the kind of, what do you say, thing that I'm doing. Before my consultant life, I was basically in 2013-14, I was I used to participate in a data science group where I was the first student of one of the early students of Andrew Ng's Coursera machine learning course, and that's how I learned my machine learning. So that past caught up with me today, where I am able to sort of make sense of what's happening, and I'm able to talk to people in the language that they understand. And luckily, people are also responding to it. So more conference talks are around that area of late in the last 1.5 years.
Excellent. And I think that relates to the topic of this podcast series and also the topic of this podcast week. So let's get there. So what are some of the myths, some of the challenge you're seeing there, which you help them to overcome?
Yes. So the first challenge is that at least at a leadership level, when people buy, or rather they go into some demos and they get amazed by generative AI tools, be it Copilot, be it ChatGPT, whatever, and they make a buying decision looking at the marketing pitch, right? And marketing pitch is good. The decisions are also good.
Yeah.
Just that what I am seeing is that at least the work that I am now sort of slowly getting in my consulting also tends towards, I bought this tool, but I am not able to really show value to my leadership and my probably board that this is an investment that is showing revenue, that is showing business outcomes. So how do I get there? Agents piece sort of gets there. So copy paste into the chatbot workflow and sort of try to integrate AI into your real work. Unless AI touches the real world, it has no value whatsoever. Maybe you can write blogs and that's pretty much what you can do about it.
Right.
But if you can integrate what AI does with your regular working tools like probably Jira or email or your chat or LinkedIn or probably you are booking a ticket, AI is a potential that is probably underutilized, and you need to put money to steer your organization towards that. Also, you need to put some thought leadership. So most of my recent areas are around that. There is one organization where they wanted to understand how can I improve my employees in the future so that they become future ready in terms of what trainings I need to give them. So they had a very big database of what all people are there, what trainings have been given. Second biggest mistake that I see is people are using generative AI for data analysis use cases. Right? Generative AI by default it's not good with big numbers. It's not good with arithmetic. You need additional tools. In ChatGPT, it's able to do arithmetic because internally they do tool use. But if you use the API for ChatGPT, you may not be able to do the very same thing, and you will feel disappointed by that. So their experiments are all very costly and they don't give the quality that they expect. And then I get involved in that point and then steer them into the direction of, okay, why don't you look at it this way? This is not the right use case for AI. Asking the question of, is AI even needed for that? Such the use case that I spoke about. maybe AI is not required for the calculation, but it is required only to do the market analysis part. What is required in the market for job market today? These are the major things. So in short, if I have to summarize, one is difference between the hype and the reality, or rather difference between what the marketing person meant when they said something to you versus how you implement it on ground. That gap is filling. That gap is one part. Second is marketing person may have said something, but you could have totally misunderstood it and thought it could do everything, like treating AI as a magic, right? Doing arithmetic, large number arithmetic with the AI, and asking it to. Until yesterday, I would have quoted this example of creating nice text inside pictures, but ChatGPT broke it. So we are constantly evolving. So those kind of things where people started invested in the AI, but then they are not able to get to that productivity curve, that area where they find the sweet spot. And there is another angle also where they have to manage the employee motivation also, right? When you adopt AI tools, there is this feeling that I'm going to get replaced tomorrow. The employees should not feel that. So as an agile coach, as a person who is interested in the flow of the systems and bottlenecks and whatnot, bottleneck, queue lengths and whatnot, identifying what kind of things to automate using AI. If you automate the wrong thing using AI, you are going to end up in waste. For example, many people are giving Copilot to developers to develop code, but many organizations, at least in India, have a testing where testing has to happen. Though we theoretically say, testing has to happen automatically, developers should write tests and all, we still have testing as a separate stage.
Right.
Now, if testers are very less in your team, which is almost in all the teams, then tester is the part you have to help using AI, not the developer, because developer is already producing something. The more he produces, you are creating more waste that is not tested. So you're putting more money in, and investment is more, you're not getting something out. So identifying what parts to automate and help using AI is also another part that I am sort of now focusing on of late.
So AI can do magic. When you're adopting AI in your organization, you need to be clear what magic you want it to create.
Just one small addition to that, AI can do magic because whatever AI can do today, we would not even have thought of all that thing probably 2 years back. But additionally, it is not a magic to directly apply it to your real world and get money from it. You need some thought process to it, and you need to be very deliberate, and you need to be, you need to involve the right set of minds in order to make that decision. Buying decision should be different from implementation decision. That's what I'm saying.
And I think there should be it should be different. They both need focus, but there has to be a relation also, Vivek, right?
Yes.
They cannot be in isolation also.
Absolutely, yes.
That's another important point which you brought up, Vivek.
Correct.
How do you see agentic AI evolving and changing? I have been hearing that agentic AI is going to change the SaaS landscape also. And you are someone, Vivek, you have been with SaaS and AI for a couple of years. How do you see this game, if I can call it, evolving in the near future?
So, Agentic AI in my mind is when people talk about Agentic AI, right? They use a lot of technical terms, they use a lot of jargons to sort of, I don't know for what reason, but it seems like something that is very inaccessible. But in its core, it's an absolutely simple concept. You take ChatGPT itself is just a language, it's a word predictor, it can create pretty sentences, that's all it can do, right? But unless you connect the ChatGPT or whatever chatbot or LLM model to the real world, it is not going to cause you it is not going to be of any consequence whatsoever, right? Unless, for example, let's say I have an Alexa. That is a very good example of an agent, though people may not think like that, because it has an AI, plus it has some tools. A speaker is there, a microphone is there. So AI plus some tools to do something with the real world. So that I can tomorrow go and ask, hey, what should I eat for my breakfast? And Alexa probably will tell me something. So I have some use for that, right? Similarly, recently Satya Nadella in one of the podcasts gave a very good example of an agent where he said, you know what, every day morning when I go to office, there are some agents that wake up the previous night and look at all my emails and create draft responses for all of them and keep them in draft state, so that when I go to my office, I just have to look at these drafts. If I agree, I will send. Otherwise, I have to manually compose and send. Now, what that agent has done is, it is also, if you see at its core, it has a utility. Utility is very obvious to everybody. It saves a lot of time. It works when you are asleep. Utility is obvious. But at its core, it's an AI agent because it is an LLM, because it creates nicely worded emails. Plus, it has the tool to read the emails that came last night, and it has a tool to create a draft, right? Basically, it may call an API in Gmail or Outlook to, create the draft. It may call an API to read the emails that came yesterday. Now, integrate LLM with these tools, it becomes an agent. What people would generally do is, let's say somebody thinks of a use case saying, I'm going to create a user story in Jira, and I'm going to use ChatGPT to create 10 test scenarios so that I don't miss anything.
Right.
Now, how would the person do that is, they will open Jira, open that user story, copy the user story, paste it into the chatbot, and then say, can you give me 10 test cases? Press enter. It will give you 10 test cases. Now you copy that from there, paste it into Jira, save. This is such a boring workflow, and you need a human in the loop because, not because you need human judgment, because you need human as a plumber between all these tools. Agentic AI and agents stop using human as plumbers.
Yeah.
Right? You can use humans for decisions, real decisions. Like, should I send this draft email to this person or not? That's a human decision where you need a human in the loop.
Yeah.
Right? So move away from copy paste into the chatbot workflows to autonomous workflows where things start on their own and give you and help you something while you are not in front of the chatbot. That's what Agentic AI is all about. So what if we are able to say, okay, this is a mood that we are in, or this is a theme, or like I want to watch a fun movie.
Yeah.
Right? And you would say, this is my budget for my snacks today. And what if agent is able to look at Book My Show, look at the recent shows, and look at your mood that you gave, and it decides, okay, this movie fits this guy's mood, whatever this guy gave, and suggests this movie you should watch. And maybe it can look at probably PVR's price list online if it is available online, and tells you, okay, probably your budget is, let's say, 1,000 rupees or whatever.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe you will get very less popcorn for 1,000 rupees, but if it is 1,000 rupees, this is what you can buy today, so that you don't end up arguing in the theater about what to buy. Now it solves problems. At the same time, it actually takes AI, uses its some judgmental capacity and its knowledge, and connects it with all things that you will use in your real life, so that it makes your life easy for you.
I am visualizing a future where a agent can actually sense the mood in the room and say, let's go for the movie today.
Yes.
I'll appreciate Agentic AI at that stage only.
Yes.
If I still have to tell him I want to go movie, that's not Agentic AI for me.
Yes. You can make the AI agent better by removing inputs and making it autonomous.
Right.
Like you are saying that I sense from the mood in the room.
Yes.
Or maybe it will look at my WhatsApp status. If I have recently gone through a breakup, maybe I will avoid some movies. Right? That's a possible use case as well. But then that is reducing the inputs. There is another thought process of, now this workflow is very straight for me. Pick a movie, judge whether the movie fits my thing, and then maybe pick some snacks, judge whether the snacks fit my budget, and show it output. Done. Yeah. What if you say that, you know what, AI, I have these tools for me. You decide what all tools you should call, and I will call them for you and give you the output. That becomes autonomous workflows.
So I think opportunities are endless. I was thinking, maybe one day Agentic AI can check my bank balance and tell, okay, rethink about your decision. You can't go even for that 1,000 rupees popcorn also.
Yeah, you can't afford to go to this movie.
You can't afford. Or maybe you're thinking too less the budget. Increase it. You've got the balance. So great. SaaS. Agentic AI, SaaS. What are your thoughts? Right? You have been a experienced player in both the areas, Vivek.
I have two sets of opinions when it comes to the merging of, when it comes to the subject, when it comes to the subject of AI and SaaS. One personal opinion, it's mostly a response to when people say, today they say SaaS is dead. AI is going to replace SaaS and SaaS is dead. My personal opinion of that is that SaaS has been attracting all the investments and VC investments so far. And AI companies which are actually doing AI support, for example, OpenAI as an example, or they are actually burning money. They are not profitable and they need more funding. Who they can get funding from? People who are already funding SaaS. So if you create a narrative that SaaS is dead, probably it's very easy to get funding for AI. So that's my personal opinion. Maybe I'll not quote it in front of a very professional audience or something, but that's my personal opinion. But when I take a step back from all these emotions that this narrative creates and the paranoia that SaaS is dead narrative creates, I see today it is very easier to do SaaS with the help of AI.
Okay.
For example, the MVP, only the MVP, not actually running the product after that, but the MVP is a very crucial part which gets me to decide whether I will get users or not, whether people are excited about my software or not, and whether people are willing to invest even from a VC side or not. MVP helps me do that. And an AI integrated workflow helps me to get to the MVP very quickly. It has moved from probably months to days, right? So if I have an idea, I could always open up Cursor. Cursor is a new ID with AI, if you don't know. And that can sort of, give me with a very less time and cost, get the MVP very fast. In fact, there is one what do you say, learning program that we launched in the name of Tech Code Circle. It's called AI Savvy IT Leader. Now, we had to create a landing page for that. Now, the landing page had to have some specific characteristics so that it appeals to the audience and all these things. And that landing page, if I had created probably 2 years earlier, the same landing page, it would have at least taken me 3-4 days of, constant focused work.
Right.
What I did was, I was able to pass along ideas from one AI to another. That I generally do. I will do something in XAI, take the output, pass it to ChatGPT and ask it what it does. It's like consulting multiple people. And with that, I was able to create a very useful and meaningful landing page, which was able to get me customers for that course in a matter of probably half a day.
Wow.
Right? Very professional looking, without hiring anybody else, right? This is a 0-to-1 journey. You should remember that, right? What if I already have a software? Is the AI going to make that workflow better? Most probably not, because of various reasons. Probably we can get into that a little later or in a different conversation.
Yeah.
But for 0-to-1, which is what is important in SaaS, because you don't burn money on unnecessary things, AI has reduced the cost that you need, money that you need in order to do MVPs into very less money. It's almost like your lunch money. So you can get MVP done.
That's
for
another
some
use
cases.
case, Vivek,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Which you're sharing
Yes.
with our audience. Thanks for sharing your latest initiative on AI savvy IT leader, you call it.
Yeah, there are two variations actually. One is tech savvy IT leader, which is targeted at people who are in the tech world, but probably you have been out of tech for so long, you don't consider yourself tech savvy. And there is another course that we are doing called AI savvy IT leader, where we speak only about the things probably which we are talking about in the line now.
Okay.
So there are two different learning programs that I am doing, weekend learning programs.
So I can get that certificate anyway, right? After this talk, AI savvy tech leader, Vivek.
Let's talk about it. We'll do an assessment later.
Okay, we can go do one more podcast then.
Yeah.
If you have to go back to younger you and you have to do this AI SaaS again,
Okay.
what different would you do, Vivek?
One thing that I learned after burning a lot of money is that probably I should look at getting customers and how to market something before building it. Is it worth to put that effort, right, and energy and emotions into that product before you write the first line of code, perhaps? Dropbox was a very good story. That was something that I wish I had known earlier, where they created Dropbox, just created some screenshots, floated it on internet before they built the product, and created a sign-up sheet, waitlist. And once enough people got waitlisted, they started building the product. I wish I had the wisdom to do that in my previous whatever life time I have lost, but it's a good thing that I have learned using that. That's probably one of the very big changes that I am doing right now in my new products that I'm doing targeted at Shopify shop owners and all. First, I'm looking at talking to people, doing customer research, finding what areas are causing pain for people, how do we solve the problems, and then get into the product. Not because I get into a product because I can do it. That is one of the changes.
Share the links of this new initiative also in the podcast for viewers to go there and benefit from there, Vivek. So I think this was a great podcast. A lot of learning takeaways for me and for sure for our audience also on how to move from a job to a consultant, about AI, about SaaS, about use case, about benefits. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. It was nice talking.
Amazing you having here today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.